and officially. Good evening. Welcome out to the Market Watch Group Trading Foundation's working sessions. This is the intermediate portion. Glenn took us through the beginning, walked through some things. He's gonna send the recording. So if you're listening to this recording, they should both be posted. My name is Scott. I'll be your host. Got a new name, it looks like. Wilbur, welcome out. Good to see you, unless you've come before and I just missed it. If that's the case, my apologies. Otherwise, welcome out. Glad to have you. Everybody else, always good to see the usual suspects. Bob, good to see you, my friend. All right, let's get cracking. What do we need to know? As always, we're not brokers. We're not advisors. We don't give advice. We don't give recommendations. But this is a group where we're here for education, illustrative purposes. We work together, figure out how to be better at all things trading. All right, let's go talk about it. I was having a couple of audio issues when I first came on. And so I only caught bits and pieces of what you were doing with Glenn. So if you feel like there's some work that we can continue with, great. Let me know. Just sort of walk me through it. I'm just going to start talking. Let's just start talking. What do we see here? This is the SPY. I have no doubt you chatted a little bit about this with Glenn, but let's process what we see here. Number one, I gave a quiz the other day. It was pretty fast. So here's the first thing. Gold star to whoever tells me today's candlestick pattern. One word. Actually 2 words. Well, I would accept 1 word, but it may sometimes be presented 2 words. What candlestick pattern do you see today? Anyone want to take a stab at it? I'm gonna give you a hint. Once the hint starts coming, we get to the answer quickly. It starts with an E and ends with an engulfing. Anybody? Engulfing. Yes, you got it. Bearish engulfing, though. Yeah? A bearish engulfing pattern. What does that mean? It means we started bullishly. The buyers opened the market today. When we came in, if we were talking, I know you were talking with Glenn this morning. You were like, yeah, the buyers are opening the market. Didn't last long. So the buyers opened the market and then the sellers came in. Let's go take a look at the intraday on that for just a minute. And there it is. There's the gap up. Bing. You're watching. You get your opening range. It breaks, and then that's it. We fell. Buyers made one try right here. You'll notice, even if you apply our techniques in this circumstance, still works. What does it have to do after a breakout? It's got to come back and make a higher low. It didn't. It came all the way back down, and then it just kept falling, right? So what do we know? Buyers opened the market. Sellers controlled it all day, and it closed at or near the low. One little hint of hope at the end of the day. So I'm going to say that buyers controlled the market. Or excuse me, buyers opened the market. Sellers controlled the day. Okay, let's go back. What then, therefore, would we expect to see from the VIX on a day like this? What is the expectation? This is the intermediate class, so I get to ask questions that require critical thinking. Rising, absolutely. Now, we expect it. So therefore, if someone's like, oh, the VIX is up, you're not like, what? The VIX is higher? Oh my gosh. You're like, of course it is. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Of course it is. That's not the question. The VIX being higher isn't in and of itself information to us. We have to have relative and perspective and context. So let's put some context to this engulfing pattern. What is another technical characteristic that I can evaluate now in order to assess the strength or lack thereof that I would associate with this bearish engulfing pattern? What's the next thing that I should look at to help me understand the weight, volume? Thank you, Bob. Bob probably had a really good coach sometime in his trading background. Someone who really spent the time teaching the fundamentals. Volume, of course. Now, what do we think about that volume? It did increase. But one of the things that we look for, and this is where I like the analysis that we conduct, is today gonna affect our posture? Only if it's above average. Is it above average? No. Average is 59. We got 56. Steven's screaming the answer at home, but it's not typing fast enough. I love it. Sorry to frustrate you, my friend. Okay. All right. This is good. I think now. So what does that mean to us? That means that we're not looking at this like, oh my goodness, we're looking at this and I'm just licking my chops like, yes, come to me. Come on down. That box that you know I love to draw, right? That box that represents where do I see, right? We know that moving average is going to just keep on coming higher due to the fact that price is above it. Yes, Lee, 100%. You'll notice that, like, there's these temptations back here, and it got one day and then nothing, and then it's all the way back, and that's where it's hard. Look, we talked about it. We said, hey, if you pulled the trigger, maybe you got a piece, maybe you didn't. Here's what I liken it to. When you're in traffic, right? When you're in traffic and you get frustrated and you're like, I'm going to pull off and weave the side streets to gain time. I mean, you're moving, you're doing something. Did you gain time? Really? Maybe not. No harm, no foul. If you feel a little better because you got off, is there a risk that you get stuck in something else and then you're worse off? Yes, that risk exists, right? So that's my analogy with when we trade in a time. This was an interesting time right here, right? That was an interesting time. There was no volume. We were already in an overbought position, you can see. We had already made this move. It's just like, what are we going to ask for? You almost feel greedy trying to ask to get into a bullish trade at that point, right? But did we? Could we? Yeah. On the breakout, I mean, I don't think anyone did it the day before, but now what? Now I would assume whatever hadn't been closed, we've been talking that for the most part you were closing trades, things were getting shut down, tightening stops. But what are we looking for now? We're looking for this. Wherever it goes. Could it be a flag? We've been talking about flags. That's where we're just looking for 2-3 days and then bingo, bango, let's go. Just in, out, and then we think it's gone. Or that's A, right? We'll just kind of say A is that breakout, okay, or that move. B would be it grinds down a little bit, right? And we have an actual consolidation, something that looks a little bit more like this. Whereas, A might look a little more like this one, where it just, you don't know, it hesitates or it goes right away versus a little bit more pronounced pullback. We can't come into this thing with high expectations of what we think it's going to be. That's not being, water doesn't think, oh, here's what it, no, water just is, let's figure it out. So what we're doing is we're talking through a few possibilities here, right? What are the possibilities? The more I want to be right, the more I need to look at three possibilities. So A, flag. B, pullback. D, something nasty comes and it sells back off and it hits. I mean, quite honestly, I got to tell you, I'm pretty solid all the way back to like 530. Yeah? Give me your thoughts. It's a little lower than that shoulder, right? So this is kind of an iffy zone if I were to draw this out over here. A little bit iffy there. But even if we sold off a little bit harder and then stabilized, I got to tell you, all else being equal with what we've seen in our posture, it's Thursday. What do we think is going to happen? Even after today, I still think my posture is going to go up by a point. By a point. What attributes will keep it from moving positive, from moving higher if the news is positive? Well, I mean, just like with earnings, when we say buy the rumor, sell the news. So, the thing is this. Unless he comes out and explicitly, let's talk about that. We've got a lot of guys in here because we don't have Sandy. We've got a lot of guys in here who track the market. So let's ask this question. What is good news, right? I'm assuming we're all talking about Jer Bear. I sent him a good luck text. Wished him well. Told him he could call me if he needs to. Oh, Jer Bear. What do we think? I don't think he's going to come out and explicitly say anything about 0.5%, right? Is he going to allude to, they've already alluded. They're already like, yeah, more people than in the minutes. They're like, more people than not are ready to, I mean, it's there. It's just a matter of half or a quarter or a half. And I actually don't think that's the case. I don't think they're going to, I don't know. I don't see that they do it, right? I'm thinking 0.25 point. I want to hear from you guys. Is there a chance they give it 0.5 point? Is there a chance that Jerome in his Jackson Hole speech, I think he's going to talk about the progress that's been made because it has been. I think they're going to talk about the most recent progress where it stalled for a couple of months and then it started moving again, right? I think he's going to talk about that. I think he's going to talk about the need to become accommodative, but I don't think he's going to tip his hand to anything outside of what we already expect, which is what, by the way? Well, let's go look. Let's go take a look. Where is it? Fed Watch. 0.25 point from Steven, quarter from Lee. Let me ask this question. Does anybody think they're going to knock it a full 0.5 point? There it is. Bob said it's going to veer a little political. He says it's going to veer where there's a little political to it. It's funny because I actually feel like that was for me one thing that until they got this last little bump was going to prevent them from hitting it until after the election, because the elections, it's like the meeting in November starts on election Tuesday and then it announces on Wednesday. Big banks sold off today. Okay, let's go look. 3-1, that's where we're at. Everybody used to be the other way in favor of 0.5 point for a minute, but now everyone else is where we're seeing it. To nudge Powell for 0.5 point. Okay, so Miguel says more selling until November. So we may have a double bottom or a deeper right shoulder is the thought. I think it could be a deeper right shoulder, whether it's to here. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see for sure. Yeah, let's look at the watch list. I think we're getting signals here, personally. Apple pulling back. I was just looking at Walmart. Amazon, there's another one. You'll notice none of these with too much volume yet. Could the volume come tomorrow? Sure, then we'll reassess. We're talking to close the afternoon together. I mean, look at credit. That's already looking like it's starting to right? It's already starting to stabilize a little bit. Okay. Bank of America. I don't know. That looks like there's some stability there. Look at BLDR, still pushing resistance. Look at Citi, beautiful. I feel like still, you'll notice, look at the drop off in volume. Right? Look at that drop off. What does that tell us about the sellers? Running out of steam, right? Running out of steam. Okay. Nope, I skipped. Go back. Caterpillar setting up. The sellers are in control. This is the selling cycle. It started back here when it crossed. How much damage have the sellers done over the last 5 days? Hardly a dent. That makes it real easy for buyers to come in. So I'm watching Caterpillar. That's 2 sectors now. I think financials looks very well set up. Selling off mildly with low volume. There's me. I'm going to say I was only slightly wrong, but I was wrong. I feel like I eased off of the consumer staples, but they kept on going. So there you go. CMG, still valid for a setup. Obviously, everything pulled back today, so not surprised that this one paused. If you have a restart of the momentum, I think you could make the argument for this. Does it look amazing? No. What did I say I want to do with it? I want to wait for one more. I'd like to see it get above here and then pull back where I'm like convinced that everyone's fine that the CEO left. Then we can go ahead and move. There's plenty of time to catch it after that. Give me your thoughts. I know a couple of you have traded it already. Costco, I'm waiting for the pullback. Carvana, waiting for the pullback. The Dow started pulling back. Fastenal paused. Bitcoin paused. Gold pulling back. But I'll tell you what. If there is a hint of defensiveness that you want to maintain, I think here's your spot in gold. I think there's a setup happening here. So now we have some setups happening in the financial sector, a setup happening in industrials, possibly more, we'll see, and a setup happening here in the basic materials, but oriented in precious metals. General Motors, pausing. Google. I kind of feel like I'd do the same thing with Google as I would do with Chipotle. Be patient. Home Depot, be patient. It's pulling back. It hit some heavy resistance. But I feel like we've been patient to the point where now it's anything that starts, our posture has already bumped from a, that's not it. We've already bumped back to a 3.5. I'm expecting it's probably going to go another point. So I'm going to be a 4.5. At a 4.5, anything that starts to show signals of all of these, I'm ready to go. Let's go, right? Who's with me? Who is with me? JP Morgan. JP Morgan didn't even pull back and it started moving. KBH Homes, Coca-Cola, Mickey Donald's, it's got to pull back. We've got to still be patient with some of these. Meta started to turn and then it's paused, so maybe there. MMM, that's a consumer staple that has continued to move a little bit. Look at the flag on Morgan Stanley, right? What did I say? The patterns we would be expecting to see. Boom, flag. Flag. That's all we're looking for. Pop out of the flag. There's my trade. There's my stop. And I'll tell you, I'm not looking for it to get to here. If it got to there, I would take some profit. But I'm looking for the big move. I'm thinking it's going to get this whole thing again. Somewhere like that. And this gives me a nice little take profit area. Yeah, so I think we've got good, right? Financials, like we said earlier this week, that's our leading area for setups. Financials, not far behind. What else? Okay, now we have some software, some technology. We'll see if the chips are. Chips actually were ahead of software, so I think we're maybe going to be in a good place there as well. So let's just see. Software, yes. Is that a big, bad sell? It's a big red candle. Everyone's going to be like, oh, look how bad that candle is. Is it? Tell you what it feels like to me. It feels like that. Big, strong move up. Little sell-off, pulls back. Stabilizes through here. That's what we're looking for. And then what? Bam. Big, big. At least 2, maybe even 3 through the end of the year, right? My rules have been met. It's broken the consolidation. Buyers are clearly back in control. As long as what? As long as the sellers don't regain control. If all of a sudden it starts having big sell days with increasing volume, then we're not like, oh, let's get ready to buy. We're like, no, it's be watered, now adjust. But that's not what's happening yet. If tomorrow it sells with a smaller candle and a smaller volume, yeah, that thing is literally knocking on the door. We just need to open it and be ready to go. The question I'll be asking is, am I going to anticipate some of these trades and try to jump a fatter reward to risk ratio? Yes? Yeah, I don't know. Are you with me? Can I get an amen? I can't see what you're saying. Sorry, let me get my, there it is. Disappointed that the small caps have dropped. Yes, thank you. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? That's the question. Are you eating what I'm cooking? Okay. I think it looks great. And this is what, I mean, honestly, here's the thing. This is what we've been talking about. Nothing here is like we're reacting. This isn't reactive. This is we've been talking about this. In fact, to the point where we had to say, hey, don't get impatient and overtrade here at the end of this move. That's been our discussion through here. Yeah, especially. And now that we're here, it's like, okay, it's ready. We're ready. We've seen this. We've talked about this. We're ready for what's next. I don't want to hesitate. I want to be ready to trade. Micron. There's Micron. It's showing the same signals. Netflix. That's flagging. That looks flaggy. God, look how strong Netflix looks from that low to that high. A beast of a move. NVIDIA. We've got earnings, unfortunately. I don't know that we're going to get a time on this one. Great. Trade Micron. Trade AMD. Trade TSM. PLTR. Flag. We're seeing the pullback. It may not be much. None of the volume was very high. TSM. Oh, TSM, you're looking beautiful. Just fantastic. So now we have setups developing in financials, at least one developing in industrials. We have a somewhat non-corollary trade in materials with gold. And we now have a beautiful looking setup forming here in one of our favorite chip stocks with TSM, and Microsoft and Apple only a few days behind. Me likes what me sees. Okay. What about the dollar? Oh, the dollar looks great. This is the market pricing in the interest rates dropping early to the dollar. I believe anyone looking at mortgages, like, did anyone end up having to finance a house during the bad time? And now, like, my understanding is, like, once it's like a half a, like 0.75% below, it's like, yeah, it's advantageous. But it feels like mortgages are going to be dropping, all like in anticipation, getting pre-approved. Okay, so is that the case, Bob? Oftentimes mortgages move similarly to the dollar in this regard, where it kind of preemptively starts pricing in that those rates are coming down. So I'm hopeful. I'm taking my daughter tomorrow to college. It's her second year. First year she was in the dorms. Now she's in an apartment. The damn apartment's like literally like $1,000 or $1,100 for a small bedroom. So I'm hoping that by next summer rates come down and I'm going to buy a townhome or a condo for the last 2 years, because it's ridiculous. Still above 6. See, I'm hoping if they can get to 5 by next summer. Is that wishful thinking? 5, maybe even 4.5 by next summer. That's the goal. Anyways, all right. What else do we see? The VIX. I want you noticing they need to get to 4, or even better. If they can get to 4 by next summer, that'd be absolutely amazing. That happens, I'm gonna buy 20 acres in the mountains too. That's where I'm going next. I'm gonna rent both halves of this thing. I'm gonna go to the mountains. I'm out of here. Okay, kids are done. I'm going to the mountains. What do we see here? Remember what we talked about. We said we don't think it's going to get back above this little area right here. I think we're way in line with that type of a prognostication. We see it stabilize. It rolls over. That's that confirmation that institutions are back in play. And then what? And then we're looking for something like this where you get 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 moves over what period of time? 2 months, 3 months, something like that. This is our fall into Santa rally. Nice low VIX. Everything looks pretty good. A smooth election. Is that too much to ask? Smooth, like we know who the president is and there's no like contention and no no storming of any. The market reacted. In fact, I'll tell you this. I remember vividly because I got picked off on a couple of trades intraday when that happened. And then it recovered, and then I'm like, seriously? Come on. I wonder if we can go back and look at that. Let's go see. SPY. I'm going to go back. Nope, I need to go even further than that. Let's go 5 years. Daily. Okay. And I'm going back. It would have been 2020, right? Or was it 2021? 4 years. 2021. I don't know. I'm not really seeing it here. Maybe I just have a bad memory. I'd be dreaming. Actually, as I look at this, I remember having a few things January 6th. Am I not on the right date? 2021? 2020 election inauguration was 2021, right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the reaction. I mean, it did open here and it rallied up and then it sold off and then it came back up. So maybe that's what I'm thinking is it opened and it was going up and it was bouncing and then all of a sudden it sold off down to here and then it got halfway back. That doesn't look that, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like maybe I over dramatized it in my mind now, to be honest. I did get stopped out of a couple of trades, but maybe I just had my stops too tight and I want to blame the market. I'll take it. It could be on me. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Apparently there's no correlation for us to worry about. Let's just go back in. Bob says no way that what's going to be. Who cares? We'll get to that. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. In the meantime, this is what we've been talking about. Is it going to be another day tomorrow? Who knows? It could literally be a buy day tomorrow based on Powell, and that's it. 1 day consolidation, and then it's gone. And then it takes off. So what I would say is this. Spend tonight, spend tomorrow morning. Be thinking about some of those that we talked about that we like, some of the ones that look like they're setting up that if he says something that the market likes and it responds and it starts to move, you might think, hey, I'm going to pull the trigger on 2 or 3 things and have it in place. This may be the catalyst. It'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting that we're going to wait till the end of the day and we'll see, like, do we see the buyers, we see the sellers, and then we see where it ends up putting us. I don't know. Do you feel like we addressed it? Getting into the VIX. I'll tell you this. I don't trade the VIX. The options tend to be expensive and they're less liquid. Anything you're thinking you would do on the VIX, you could do the exact opposite on the SPY. So if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to buy puts on the VIX because I think it's going to drop. Great. Then you should think about calls on the market because you think it's going to go up or vice versa, right? Whatever it is. Whatever you think the VIX is going to do, you can trade the opposite on the SPY. The SPY has has better liquidity. It's the most liquid thing. I love trading SPY because you get better fills on that than you do anything else you will ever trade. Good question. I'm going to pause for a second here. Who do I still have here? Oh, almost everybody's still here. Wilbur, I want to check in with you. I'm going to mispronounce your name. Volodymyr, I want to check with you. Are you new in your trading? Meaning, are you like just getting started? Consider yourself green? I've traded for a little bit, still getting comfortable. Are you a seasoned trader? That's the first question for both of you. And then the second question is, if you're new, especially as you're doing these, especially this more intermediate foundation, is it helpful? Is it drinking from a fire hose? Good time for some feedback. Rather seasoned. Love it. Oh, I love it. Well, my friend, you just increased expectations on yourself. I'm just saying. Yes, seasoned it is. Yeah, welcome. We'll always love a seasoned trader perspective. Steven says he feels like I've addressed it. Yeah, okay. I'm ready to trade. I'll tell you that. I'm ready to trade. Let's get some things on. Let's see a market really get a concise direction. We V'd. I like the strength of the V. I want you to notice, this is what I'll wrap up with. Let's go back here. Okay? And let's only look at the last piece. We had the sell-off. And we can even focus, we can actually look at this whole thing as one. We have the whole sell-off, and then we have the recovery, V. It got all the way back up, and then it started its recovery. And what did it have? It had one big red candle, just like today. How was the volume on that day, Scott? You're probably asking. I'll tell you. Just let me get there. Don't rush me. There it is. What's the volume? Oh, look, it's average. Wasn't that interesting? It's average volume. And then what happened the next day? The next day we got a bump up. So if tomorrow we get that bump up like that, I think you got to be ready to go. Even if it's Friday, it's the end of the day, because I want you to notice after that it gapped. And then it went slowly, and then it kind of paused, and then bam. That's all what we're thinking may come. After that, what do I have? I got more moves coming, more. Absolutely. I think we have that kind of prospect in front of us. But we cannot be pigeonholed into thinking we're going to have this perfect little 5-day consolidation. It might be done. It may be just today, and then tomorrow it gets ready to go. If we get the bump on good news, Steven's ready. I love it. Yeah, I feel like we need to be. I feel like if we get that bump, I'll put at least 1 or 2 alerts out, but you got to be ready, right? You got to have a bunch ready to go if you're ready, if you want to have it. So line it up. Let's be thinking about it. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Yeah, this was a good session. I feel like I needed to talk through it myself a little bit, right? Make sure I'm not missing anything. Make sure I don't have any biases that are impacting my perspective. That's the point, right? They're biases. You don't know they're there. So, yeah, thanks, everybody. Good chat. It's good to have everyone. Tomorrow, what do we have cracking? 15 minutes before market opens, you can pop into the meetups, and Glenn will be there to talk about what the futures are doing, what the market's looking like on the open, get things kicked off. And then the last 45 minutes will be on stage here. So that'll be 9:15 to 10 a.m. Eastern time in the meetups room, and then 3:15 to 4 p.m. Eastern time will be here in the stage. So I hope you guys can come out, hang out. Let's process it together. Maybe put a couple of trades on. I'll be on the road. I'll be in Logan, Utah, dropping my daughter off at Utah State. Very sad. Both my kids are back in school. It'll just be my wife and I and the dog. So although it's my son's senior, he's got 1 semester, so I'm pretty sure he'll be back. He'll be back. All right. It's good to see you guys. Have a great rest of your night. See you tomorrow. Happy trading.